Hey, have you noticed Chicago's chief of police? This guy is a real piece of work. Yeah, the guy's name is McCarthy. And McCarthy, he thinks that anybody that supports, the Second Amendment, they're guilty of crimes. Oh, yeah. Now, what he thinks is the solution to solve the problems in Chicago. Okay, now, Chicago's known as probably the second largest murder city in the country. I think the District of Columbia might be ahead, and Flint, Michigan is real close, They're always sort of tossing for the top spot. Now, what he says is that what really has to happen is anybody that, lobbies for their guns, for the NRA and all that, they're criminals. Yeah, and he thinks that what really has to happen is two things. They got to approach this from a two-pronged attack. First thing they have to do is anybody that's a law-abiding citizen that wants to carry a piece, or even buy a piece, well, they got to go get an insurance policy. That's what that guy in New York wants to do too, they want to do a $1 million policy. Guess what? That's what he wants as well. He wants people to have to buy $1 million policy. Isn't that wonderful? Now, see, the only problem is there's no insurance company that sells policies like that. They don't sell them like that. You can't even buy a policy like that. But that's a secondary issue. Now, the other brilliant idea that he has, and this is really good, this one here I think solves all of their problems in Chicago. Now, what he wants to do is he wants any law-abiding citizen that buys a piece, it's going to have a GPS tracking device. Like the kind that Obama and the less than honorable Eric Holder should have put in the guns they let go across the border, but they didn't do that, that was too complicated back then. But he thinks that if we put in a GPS tracking device, guess what happens? We solve a lot of the crime. You see, the problem is this guy should be maybe working at a pizzeria. He should not be the chief of police. He's running the police department in the third largest city in the country. Yeah, but they've also got one of the highest crime rates. Now, what's interesting is most of those murders in Chicago, according to the statistics, are black on black. That's usually what, And I think, as I said before, I think a lot of these are turf wars. The other thing is that most of the pieces that they use, guess what? They're stolen or they're bought through straw buyers. They're not legal weapons, So let me understand this. His brilliant idea is to get everybody to buy a policy that wants a gun for $1 million and then put in a GPS tracking device so they know where the gun is at all the time. But you see, it's not those guns that are doing the killing, So what he's doing is the same thing that the Obama administration does. It's called distract, divert, to deceive. You see, he's trying to take the heat off of his inability to control the level of crime in Chicago. You know what I mean? So what he's doing is he's trying to distract the people's attention from saying, hey, McCarthy, how come you're letting all these people get slaughtered? You know what I mean? How come you can't control the murders in Chicago? How come these guys are all getting killed with guns that are stolen or they're let legal? So how's this going to solve any problem? See, it won't. All it does is distract, to divert, to deceive. That's what they're all about. I got to bet too that McCarthy's a Democrat. I got to bet that he voted for Obama. I got to bet that he probably had one of those signs in front of his house. And I bet you he's got him on his police cruiser. He won't have a cruiser. No, he'd have an unmarked car. And he probably has one of those Obama Hope and Change. You know what I mean? One of the original ones. I wonder if those things are collector's items. Anyway, I don't know. But once again, all this administration does is what he's doing. You know who he works for? Yeah, he works for Rahm Emanuel. Never let a good crisis go to waste. Well, they're not gonna. They're gonna ride this gun thing right down to the ground. Oh yeah. It's not his fault that he can't control the murders. It's the law-abiding citizens' fault. But those aren't the guns that are doing the killing. That doesn't matter. Huh? Explain that one to me. What a joke.